I am a program narcissist in recovery. And if you grew up in narcissistic family dynamics, then you will and are as well. You will be and are as well. And until you can accept that fact and say, and accept it and say, yeah, I have narcissistic qualities due to the fact that I was programmed through my upbringing within my family, you will not be able to heal from it. Awareness is the first step. So, as promised, I had posed a question a couple videos back to myself of why am I wearing this mask? And then my last video I had last night, I had this interesting download from my spirit team. Hold on. So yeah, I had this interesting download from my spirit team about seeing a moment in my past where I could see the narcissist in me, the unconscious, subconscious narcissist that was running in my back, my back files and just in the background. So these traits and characteristics that I was showing to everyone were programmed into me. And last night I became aware of this particular one. However, one of the ideas that really brought me to that download was the fact that I sat with that question and sat with myself and my spirit team and journaled on it. So right now I'm going to read my download and my communication and my conversation I was having with my higher self to hopefully shed light for you in the way that I'm trying to shed light for myself. So I'm going to just go and read through my journal entry, and we're going to go from there. Okay, so the video that I posed this question was titled, "How do I, quote unquote, someone needs to hear this?" And, I asked my spirit team to show me a bouquet of balloons and a rainbow to confirm if I should have even published that video. I haven't seen a bouquet of balloons and I don't even know how long. And this was one of the reasons I chose to make it that. That night, I saw a bouquet of balloons and multiple rainbows. It was like, heard. So I thanked the universe after I saw the balloons. And then I had this communication and this conversation with my higher self. So again, I posed the question, what does my higher self want me to feel? Why am I still holding on to my mask when I'm speaking to other people? What subconscious and unconscious beliefs am I still holding on to that are allowing those programs to still keep running? So what is it I need to release to allow you, speaking to my higher self, to shine through and for me to stop hiding you, my higher self? So here's, I'm journaling now. I was able to allow you, my higher self, to be seen when I was given space to heal and not to be the open wound for everyone to make fun of because I want to be the best version of myself possible. So, of course, growing up in a karmic narc family, I was taught to wear a mask because that is what they all did on purpose. That is what all the narcs are doing unconsciously on purpose. You know what I mean? Well, they're just doing it unconsciously in the same way and unaware, is my opinion. That is the difference between their mask and mine. They're unaware. I am aware now. I don't want to be wearing the mask. They trained me to wear the mask. And then ultimately, what I kept for survival, as a survival tool. And that's why it still exists today. They want to wear their mask all the time if they could, since being without a mask is the only way they know how to live. So unawakened beings cannot see who they really are. So since being with a mask is what I meant to say. Since being with, my bad, let me just correct that here. Since being with a mask is the only way that they know how to live, so unawakened beings cannot see who they really are, right? It is interesting that I am subconsciously, unconsciously putting my mask on around others due to programming. So I had, really been just diving deep into this thought. This is because to me, this bothers me. And when something really starts bothering me and I'm like, why am I still holding on to this? I won't stop until I figure it out. So that's what this is all about. Now, how do I reprogram to not wear my mask? Well, I was doing all that in my own space for 6 years until I allowed my love and my healing support to bring me back to my home state where my family is. They're the ones that made me feel I had to mask up again. And, I realized that that's a bad choice of words and, that they are the ones that made me. It's not that, you know what I mean? Like, it's not them, it's me. But again, it's that the reason that I say it like that is because it's that survival. Basically, they triggered my survival mechanism to put my mask back on, basically. So, because my fears were ripped back out of me when I finally saw my family for the evil, low vibrations that they truly are. Having this understanding helps support me by seeing that I can be kind on myself because I did not put this on to me. I wasn't the one that put this on to me. It was programmed into me. And that's important, I think, at least for me to recognize in myself, because then you can take away that shame and that guilt that could be around that, or if you're embarrassed about it and, shameful that you're still in that space, or, you don't have to be. You realize it was something that you were programmed, then used as a survival tool, which helps you to say, there were reasons that I integrated that. Hold on. Oh, sorry. There were reasons that I integrated that in to, and continued with that. So now that I'm aware of it, all I have to do, being aware is the first step. Now I can reverse that. Now I can reprogram that. So again, always the first step is awareness. So, and then I continue on by writing, which just gives me grace and allows me to be easy on myself while I continue releasing the feelings, the emotions that are tied around the mask energy. I had created safety for myself, and I was caught off guard by coming home to my family as I assumed I would be safe. Since this was the opposite, meaning not only did I not feel safe, I felt more in danger due to the sheer number of relatives that I have in this state that are against me due to my father and my mother's false narrative that they spoke about me that I ended up finding out my entire lifetime. That ripped any safety and security I had just gotten a hold of finally. That is what this mask is all about. I need to feel safe again, even in my home state, especially in my home state. Now, the next question is, how do I cultivate safety for myself again? Where I could run into any family member at any time. So that, when I say that, it's because that was one of the things I had to think of is, why am I not, like, what is this heavy? What is all this icky, heavy, dense energy? Oh my God, I wish you guys could see this squirrel right now. It was just hanging there off this little branch. Wow, it looked pretty cool because it was literally hanging. It's so funny. Anyways, okay. Let me try to... So I could run into my family members at any time because there's so many of them here. And I had mentioned in a previous video that I can feel all their negative, unhealed, low vibrational energies on top of everybody else's in this state, which there are a lot of unhealed people in this state. And I'm feeling all that as a sensitive and empath. And it feels gross, it just feels nasty. And so, this question, how do I cultivate this safety in this place where I'm feeling this non-safety energy, this non-safe energy, where I could run into my family members at any time? So my answer to that is time. Time is one answer to that question. I need time to do what I'm doing right now and, have the time to figure it out, unravel the ball, unravel all the programmed shit, distortion. But I feel like there is more. It was, a ... is what I wrote. But I feel, and there is more to this. And that's what I'm getting at. When I would try to rest, I was abused. So since I've come back to this state and I came back to heal and rest and recoup and rebalance because my body and my energy system and my mind needed it from the craziness that I had just encountered through my healing. And even though there was a lot of good healing work, there was, it kind of went back and forth due to a lot of different factors. If you see look at my previous videos, you'll understand. But, oops. I heard the Okay, so when I would try to rest in my home state, I was abused and told I was faking needing rest and heal time. And that, you don't need to rest that long. How do you know? You know what I mean? But again, that's a narcissist that would say that. That's not somebody because they don't love themselves enough to slow down. So they're definitely not going to love you enough to allow you to slow down and take time to rest and recoup and rebalance. So there is some of that energy that got dug up by being immersed in this thick, dense, low vibrational energy that I feel in my home state where I grew up. It feels like this, It feels like this time, as I learn to feel safe again, once again, that there's a difference because I feel betrayed on a whole other level than the betrayal that I felt from strangers that induced that type of fear energy in me when I was conned and gang stalked and almost human trafficked. Once out of that betrayal from the con man and the gang stalkers, I was able to say, well, I'm a stranger to them. Therefore, that would make it easier for them to want to intentionally harm me. So once I was able to get past and forgive and get past all that and rise above, because that's something I was able to learn how to do for myself, was I taught myself how to rise above the gang stalkers, rise above those low vibrational energies that were trying to keep me down. And I definitely know how to do that. But once I got to that stage where I even forgave the guy who conned me and forgave them all, you don't forget, you forgive to heal yourself. So once I was able to, sorry, let me just back up where I was. Wow. Oh yeah, I was able to say, well, I'm a stranger to them. Therefore, that would make it easier for them to want to intentionally harm me because I'm just another person. And that's what, people on the antisocial spectrum do is, typically it's harming people they don't know. But that's the thing. A narcissist will harm anybody because they don't care about themselves. So they don't care about anybody, family or not. And to my surprise, I recall thinking so during that time period when I had gotten to that conclusion, well, okay, these people, they did this to me because who am I to them? They don't know me. They're not my family. They're not good, So I recall thinking, if I was back home, my family would protect me from evil beings like this. I recall thinking my uncle would kick anyone's ass that fucked with me. And to my surprise, when I realized that not only would they watch and take part in my downfall from an evil outsider, but they would kick me when I'm down. Over and over and over again in the same way that somebody that tries to harm me that's not related to me would do. That just induced like instant sickness to my stomach. It was just like, because you're just like, whoa. I was feeling like I couldn't trust anybody outside of the family, thinking, I can go home and at least I'll feel safe within my family. And then all of a sudden when you come to that realization, you're like, my family's just as evil as strangers to me. I mean, you just realize, holy shit, I'm in this world all by myself now. Literally all by myself. I already thought that, I was already doing this consciously on my own previous, but I've been on my own the whole time, and which was true. But this was really having that, super perspective awareness, wider perspective where you're like, so yeah, let's see here. That is a whole new level of fear and anger and betrayal that runs to the core of everything. I have to see my first time healing as my training grounds, prepping me for the ultimate betrayal I would ever experience with my supposed blood relatives. And there's a whole nother back story to that, and I need to do further investigation about that, but that's a different video. I already felt like I had no idea who I was and where I came from. This revelation only cemented that understanding even more. And I have to remember that I was shaken to my core on any and all levels. Having my connection with my higher self and the Most High has now become the only area of focus at this time for me. At least until we can become more consistent best friends. It was just a way that I wanted to try to frame that, that my relationship, we're BFFs. Me and my higher self, or my higher self and I, we're BFFs. So my take from all of this is I need to level up or up level my relationship with the divine more than I have up to this point in my awakening journey. A journey like this, hold on one second. Pardon me on that. A journey like this, with one complicated situation after another, is a problem to solve as I remember who I am. Luckily, I thrive off of problem solving. And I don't see it as problematic, it's like, ooh, this is a cool new challenge I get to figure out, right? My opinion, that's a really positive silver lining way to try to view this type of a situation. Continuing on into my writing, that is another part, that being separate from others while I was learning how to connect in silence was about me having to tune in. I had so many people around me for about a year for the first time in 8 years that I have been unable to properly tune in this past year. Like I was consciously guided. Sorry, let me just move this a sec here. So I was consciously guided into, or by my higher self, upon the initial start to my healing. Okay, sorry, I haven't really gone through and edited my writing. So basically what I'm saying is that, you know, that first time, those first uninterrupted 2 years of my healing where my higher self just put me right into connection with my higher self and just things were flowing. I was in flow state. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Make sure that, sorry. Calm down here. So it was saying that, like, so hold on, let me read it again. That is the other part, that being separate from others while I was learning how to connect in silence was about me having to tune in during that time period. And so when I was in those first 2 years of hermit mode, tuning in, felt great. And I had so many people around me now this past year, now being ripped out of my hermit mode space, which I had thought, you know, I'd been in it for about 6 years. It was time to come out and reintegrate back into society. But for the first time in 8 years, because when I know I say there's 6 and 8, well, there was some, you know, the 2 years prior to that, I was in a lot of contemplative space. It just really got more productive for me 6 years ago. So, but I was in silent space at that time. So, but yeah, okay. Being, for me, for about a year, for the first time in 8 years, I have been unable to properly tune in this past year because of everything I just spoke about, you know. So this is, again, just me having awareness, me trying to figure out because this is about remembering who I am. And in order to get to that space, I have to understand what got me to this point. This is what helps me to remember who I am, truly. So, I was consciously guided into my higher self upon the initial start to my healing. Just saying, you know, that's what happened then. And there's a lot of weird, hold on 1 minute. Oh, sorry. My apologies. There's a lot of weird commotion going on around me, and I'm taping I'm recording in a different place today. Just because anyways, well, continuing on, and I'm almost done here. I have to find my way back to that silence and the ability to set up boundaries when I'm not feeling safe. And that's when when I was having that initial realization for myself, that is when I came out with the video where I spoke about the vow of silence. And, you know, me having to reintegrate that back into, and, you know, utilize that as that's a tool. That's a tool we can use to shut the world out from us for a minute. We're putting conscious intention around being in silence as much as possible. That means turning off everything, disconnecting from everything, and only trying to speak with your higher self. I had mentioned ways that if you had a job or things like that on the side, like how you could maybe try to integrate that into your 3D life as well. But ultimately, you know, you do want to try to find a day or more that you can, with intention, disconnect from everything to do that properly. So that was my journal entry that I wrote for myself to answer the question from that video. And I wanted to speak on that because last night when I had my download about realizing that I had a narcissistic quality, that I was recognizing of only being able to have relationships when I was in my codependent, needing a relationship, jumping from relationship to relationship to relationship, that they would only last literally about 2 years. each, 2 years. And then I was like, and I'd always wondered why I could never get past that 2-year point. Well, then I started thinking, as I am aware now, and my awareness is open to the fact that I understand that I'm from a narcissistic family. As an empath and a highly sensitive person that grew up in this, we were programmed into those narcissistic qualities. And then, they become survival tools for us. And what I'm trying to say is that, hold on 1 minute, because I just lost my train of thought. Hold on. So really what I'm trying to say is that it's interesting because I recognize that I am a programmed narcissist in recovery. And if you resonate with this, so are you. And that's okay. It is what it is. It's not a label. It's an awareness that we're saying, okay, we have more that we need to release. And it's okay that that's the situation, because all it is saying is you might still have areas within you that you need to release that are, still low vibrational energies. And when I had this download last night about the fact that I was like, whoa, this 2-year thing kind of refers back to a narcissistic quality that I learned through my upbringing. And I finally understand why they would only last 2 years. Because my mask was coming off at that point. As a narcissist can only wear a mask for so long around somebody before it drops. And that's when they run. If they are trying to wear a mask around you and you see who they really are, or you can potentially see who they are, they're going to get defensive. They're going to get, they're going to run. They don't, because, ooh, you can't see who I really am. Shit, I got to get away, right? And that was a continuation last night, that download, based off of that initial video that I recorded a couple days ago. And so this right here is documentation for you to see how this works. Like how, once you put awareness around something and once you put a question out to the universe is going to give you an answer. And you may not get the answer all in one download. It may come in parts. It depends on how open you are to it. And I know there's still more that's going to come through on this for me, but I really wanted to showcase, the process and how this looks for somebody. This is just one perspective. This is not how it's going to look for everyone. And, I may be the only person that looks like that it looks how I'm explaining it to be for me. But this just kind of gives you an example so you know how to be open to this type of information for yourself. I hope that this has been helpful. This was my answer. This is part of my answer for myself, for me to be able to ascend and rise higher in my awakening. And like I mentioned in my video last night, that will be coming out here today. Or I probably shouldn't use days because I know I'm kind of spacing these out right now. I am going to have a video that discusses narcissistic qualities and use my personal examples as ways that I am recognizing where I have programmed narcissistic qualities in me. Because to me, that is, having this understanding is a big fucking game changer for me. Because once awareness is around something, you can release it. If you don't know it exists and you don't know it's there, you don't know what it is you need to release. And coming from this type of dysfunctional, narcissistic, karmic family, we've got a lot to release. It was the way that we chose this lifetime. It just is. It is what it is. And you need to accept that as well. And that is okay. It just means that you're fucking badass, dude. You're so badass that you said, let's take the highest level of living on Mother Gaia within this timeline, because anything less than this would be too boring of a journey. So, if this resonates for anybody, I would love to hear comments about it. Yeah, I've been hearing all my ums and so's, but I was really focused more on trying to ensure that I am trying to articulate this message as best as possible and trying to, communicate it in the best way that I can right at this moment. But this, if it seems choppy and it seems all over the place, it's because you are catching my thought on this in real time. I haven't had a lot of process time on it besides, within a day or two. And for me, I get continued domino, downloads about my questions I pose to my higher self. It just becomes more and more clear, and you're like, oh, wow, okay, yep. Seen, heard, and so, heard it. Anyways, thank you all for watching. I am so grateful, and I'm sending so much love. It was 31:41 on the clock, 31:44. This is confirmation that if you're watching this, you are doing it. You're doing the work. If you've watched it this far, you are somebody who is, you're gonna be able to reap the inheritance, reap the wealth, reap all the sovereignty and peace that you desire, because that's the journey I'm on. And so if you're watching this, you're on your way there too. So congratulations. Sending my love and my gratitude. Thank you so much for watching.